And joining us now is attorney Jesse Weber, a Law and Crime Network host and a NewsNation legal contributor. Thanks so much for being here yet again. Former Vice President Mike Pence is featured quite prominently in this indictment and will almost undoubtedly be called as a witness in the criminal trial once this goes to trial. He spoke earlier today and condemned Trump's actions on January 6th, but laid most of the blame on Trump's lawyers and said the same thing when I interviewed him 2 weeks ago. Take a listen.
I'm not convinced that the president acting on the bad advice of a group of crank lawyers that came into the White House in the days before January 6th is actually criminal.
He's sticking to that. He said it here for the first time today on television. He's also repeating the crank lawyers thing. Interesting to note, none of those crank lawyers have been charged with any crimes.
As of yet.
As of yet.
Look, he is trying to use this, I imagine, for political ammunition, right? He's running for president. And for me, I look at this legally. He testified in front of the grand jury. He seems to acknowledge that what was in Jack Smith's indictment is true. Those closed-door conversations between Pence and Donald Trump and these co-conspirators. And that's a huge component of this indictment. So I think Pence is a huge part of this, because when you think about what Donald Trump was charged with, a big component of the conspiracy was pressuring Pence to get involved.
Just the specter of seeing him take the stand in a courtroom against his former boss.
I thought it was going to be incredible for a former president to be criminally charged. The sting of that kind of has gone away since he's just now faced his third criminal indictment.
All right, let's talk about this judge, Judge Chutkan. In this case, I guess you could argue that, former President Trump won the judge lottery in Florida when he got Judge Eileen Cannon assigned. Might not have won the judge lottery in Washington, D.C. when Judge Chutkan was assigned. Can he try and have her removed from the case?
I don't know if he wants to. Joe made a great point. So, yes, her penalties were incredibly harsh, or very harsh with respect to January 6th defendants. She had worked for
those who rioted and caused damage to the Capitol.
And she made it very clear in one of the sentencings of one of her defendants where she said, this cannot happen again. So, she's made those comments before. But like Joe said, there was another judge that called Trump a charlatan. There was another one that said the January 6th defendants were pawns of Donald Trump. There was another one who said it's up to Republicans to stand up to Trump. This might not be ideal for him, but this might be the best judge for him.
What about they're already on television giving interviews saying that they might, this morning, one of his lawyers was saying, we might want to move this trial to Virginia instead of Washington, D.C. They think they'll get a more favorable jury pool there.
They have to have a basis for doing that. And usually when we see a change of venue, it's because of the publicity or something was affecting that community.
So you can't just say, I like the jurors out there better.
It doesn't work that way usually. I mean, they have to make a good faith legal argument to get it moved. And maybe is Virginia going to be the right place for them? Look, D.C. is not a favorable jury pool for the former president. Obviously, Florida is much better. But this could be a situation where if they don't have a grounds for why Virginia would be the place, I don't think it's going to be necessarily fruitful for them.
All right. So Trump's current lawyers have already begun appearing on TV outlining what may be his defense, which is that he actually truly believed that he, in fact, won the 2020 election, despite the fact that his own Justice Department officials, his own election security chief, his own campaign officials, and his own attorney general said he had not. Take a listen to Bill Barr.
Next, I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was.
So can he build a defense by saying, yeah, I did, even though all those guys told me I lost, I still believed it?
Absolutely. He can argue that. I don't know if it's going to be necessarily successful, because what he also has to say as well with the fake electors, which I think is such a big part of this, he has to say, yeah, we had those we had those electors put in place in case I won my legal cases. I never was actually going to put them in and have them replace the electors that were going to vote for Biden. The problem is when you read this indictment, if you take everything as true, it sure seems like he knew that he wasn't legitimately the winner and tried every which avenue to make sure he stayed in office.
But do you agree that's what the case will hinge on?
It's going to
his frame of mind?
Yes, his intent. Because if he legitimately believes, despite what everyone was telling him, that he thought the election was stolen, and he believed for whatever reason, Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Eastman, he's got to prove that. And getting inside Trump's head is not the easiest thing. So I will tell you, I think he's got more defenses in this case than the documents case. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win this case, but We got a long time before we're now in a trial.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.